hallo und herzlich willkommen zur heutigen Drink-at-Home-Verkostung. Wir sind nach wie vor im Lockdown, aber das Gute ist, wir haben eine super tolle Brauerei heute Abend, sehr hopfige Biere. Ich freue mich wirklich, die Brauerei ist sehr neu in Österreich, Garage. Und darum war es mir wichtig, dass wir das gleich mal jetzt verknüpfen mit einer Online-Verkostung. Für all jene, die zum ersten Mal dabei sind in euren Verkostungspaketen, habt ihr wieder eine kurze Beschreibung zu meinen Gästen, die Reihenfolge der Biere, die wir heute verkosten und den Verkostungsbogen, wo ihr ganz einfach Notizen machen könnt, wenn euch die Biere hoffentlich schmecken und ihr sie wieder nachkauft. So, good evening, hola.
Hola.
Hola. That's the only word I can say in Spanish, or in Catalan, so that's why we're gonna make this in English.
Yeah.
Good evening, welcome, and thank you for doing this tasting together with us here in Austria. It's a really young relationship. To be honest, it's kind of new. We started working together 4 weeks ago, I would say, or 6 weeks ago. And so I'm super, super excited that you immediately were so kind and jumped in this online tasting. So I would say, first of all, introduce yourself a little bit. Ladies first. So we're going to start with Justina and then we're going to switch to Owen.
So hello, everyone, the ones who I can see and the one who I see. And my name is Justina and I work for Garage Beer for quite a while now. It's, I used to not stick to jobs. So this one is my first really long job and I've been with Garage 3.5 years, I guess. I started as an export manager. Now I do more things. I have more titles in my job description, but
it speaks for you.
Exactly. I basically still do the same. I plan the beers with the guys. We decide what we are going to do, and then we decide, I decide how we package, where we are sending the beers, and then we are selling. So it's a pretty funny job, I would say. It used to be even more funny when we were able to travel, but yeah, things are changing a little bit. So
unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. So I guess that's it.
So it means then you're more or less also the planning manager or packaging manager, or
I don't know. I anything that is in a brewery, the boys are taking care of that. We just basically have a chat how to do it the most efficient way. I think when I started to work in Garage, this was a little change. Owen was not there yet, but because when I started to sell the beer, and then I can sell the beer, but we had key kegs instead of cans when I needed, or all the little things. So this is how it started, from a demand to make sure that we didn't have a lot of beer, so we used to fight for every single can. Basically, how it is right now as well. We have now so we basically are 2 salespeople. I do export still, despite all the other stuff. And then my colleague does the national sales, and then we have online shop. And then we literally fight. We sometimes have who is canceling the order? Who is canceling? I canceled the last order, don't take my cans. Someone is running in a warehouse, taking out. But it's like my boss said, I always get too stressed when I have to cancel the order, or we don't have enough beer, or I have to say no. But my boss always say that it's the best problem to have,
That's true. Better than sitting on the beer.
Absolutely, yeah. At least we don't have that problem.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, Owen.
Yeah, so hi everybody. My name's Owen, and I'm one of the brewers here at Garage Beer Co. Myself and Dan, who was actually here a few minutes ago, kind of run the brewery side of things together. So I don't know, title-wise, we just split the kind of role of head brewer, operations, everything between us. I've been here since 2.5 years, just gone 2.5 years now. And as we were talking before, I worked in a few breweries beforehand, and then
for which breweries? Tell us for which breweries you worked on.
It's on your cheat sheet.
Yeah, if the people are not reading it, Maybe the people are not reading it.
So I was at Beavertown Brewery before and working mostly in the Tempest project side of things. So actually quite different to what I do here. It was mostly mixed fermentation and saison, barrel aged kind of focused project. I started there doing the core range and the kind of hobbier side of things. And so came over to Barcelona 2.5 years ago, started working here in a team of, what were we? Oh, we were actually 5. We were more people. we were more people in production then than we are now.
I think we just got better. I mean, we learned maybe.
I think, we became a bit more efficient perhaps. Not necessarily because of me, but...
I guess you've got some part, but I think Owen, you moved here for garage as well, no? Yeah. Same with me. Like we of course Barcelona is not like a very difficult decision to make. It's like, hey, do you want to live in Barcelona? No. I like sunshine and I don't like fun and I don't like mountains and a sea. No, not for me. So it was an easy kind of decision, but we basically both moved here to work for garage. I don't know, like it seemed.
Yeah. No, that was it. It was, for me, it was through a friend. I was, for the reasons Justina just talked about with like sunshine and so on, I've been living in London and I was a bit fed up with the weather and just wanted to get out of the
Gray.
Rain, yeah. Well, better than home, but still bad.
So where is home then?
So where are you from? Is home. Ireland is home.
Ireland is home.
So this is a complete departure, way different. My parents and family are extremely jealous. So,
Okay.
Cool. That's essentially it.
I would say we're going to start with the first beer.
Woohoo!
We're getting excited. No.
I mean, sorry,
talk a little bit about the beer
before even, but
okay. So they already finished the first beer. So I would say then, Owen, tell us a little bit about what kind of hops, what is the malt recipe, and
so
then
this Miracles at Michael's is the first micro IPA that we've brewed. So depending on what you want to classify as, we've done lots of session IPAs, which are kind of between 4 or 5%. I think.
But this was an extra step. I mean, we were getting kind of a bit ready for this. It was not like, because we already saw some in an industry. We saw some micro IPAs, but we were like still like, oh, maybe it's not going to work. Maybe we will not be able to make this beer still good and drinkable with a full body. Like it could go watery or something. So it was. I mean, we waited for a while.
Oh no, like we'd kind of. Learning from brewing our session IPAs and so on, and the challenge was to kind of get to reducing the alcohol, trying to keep the flavor and the body in there and the hop character. So the process is kind of for these types of beers. Once you go under 4%, it's almost like it's just a sweet spot. Once you go under 4%, you just have a significant decrease in body and flavor. Things become watery very easily, whereas so the grist and the recipe was and the process quite different to something we'd brew, even if it was only like a 4.5. We very rarely use any sort of caramel malts or anything like that. We use a small touch in here just because at 3.5%, you're not really going to taste it as sweet, but you need it in there for flavor. Using a more characterful based malt. We use some Vienna malt in this, whereas normally we were using Maris Otter or Golden Promise, but we wanted something a little more heavily toasted. Keeping the oat and wheat content up really high to try and get as much protein in as possible. And then using hops that were, so we have, Strata, Brew 1 and Galaxy, I think, in this. And so even with the hop choice, Galaxy, for example, is one that it's a hop that most people really like, but it's quite difficult to brew it because if you go heavy on it, it leaves quite a lot of astringency from polyphenols in the beer. So, but that contributes a bit to the body and to the mouthfeel and to the haze and everything. So we still wanted to kind of use a proportion of that to contribute that aspect. And then with Strata and Brew One, we were looking for particularly very pineapple, grapefruit forward notes, a little bit of grassiness. So that was the direction we took it.
Yeah. So Strata gets really hyped last year, huh? That was kind of this hop where everyone wants to get his hands on. A question, do you also add rye malt? So rye into?
In this, no, actually rye, since I've been here, we've never used rye, as far as I can remember, in any of our beers. Maybe in some of the darker ones, but no, not in our IPAs.
Okay.
Not for any. Yeah.
Yes, let's hear the beer now.
Sorry, I already tried. You were talking a lot, but I think this is how it's going to go, Owen will be talking and I will be drinking.
It's perfect. It's the way.
Let me just stop from too much rubbish.
Session and micro.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Is there a difference?
Myself and Justina often fight about what is the definition of particular things. Like, okay, you can. I don't think there's like a standard definition of what micro really is, but in our eyes, it's got to be something that you can drink, more than one of and still be fine, but it's still full flavored. Okay, yeah, you can go down as far as whatever you want.
But I think the thing about this one, like Owen said at the beginning, it goes differently even from a brewing process, So when you go to lower ABV session beers, you go into certain level which we brew pretty similarly, like IPA or something. But when with micro, you really have to think, because it's not a lot of ABV, and then you lose a lot of body, you lose a lot. You have to kind of hide the things. It's like when you brew with triple IPAs as well, you have to hide the alcohol. This is where you have to substitute kind of. What the alcohol gives for a beer. At least this is what I think, for me,
Yeah, it's essentially compensating for various. So if you're going low on alcohol, you want to compensate that by doing certain things in your process and your recipe to make sure you've got full flavored beer.
It's like something which, I don't know. I mean, here everyone in garage definitely loves a beer. So,
There's already a guy from Austria, Klaus, is saying that it's phenomenal, with 3.5 ABV and that kind of body, mouthfeel. It's the best he ever tasted, so far.
Exactly. Right. This is why, but this is why I think we kind of waited a little bit as well. And the guys were thinking a lot about the recipe, how to make that happen, because what we saw in the industry is not very easy to find, with low ABV and still enjoyable, really nice, easy drinking, but enjoyable and full beer. And
full beer. That's a tricky part, of brewing this beer, to create the body, which
exactly
hold and combine together with the hop profile.
That's it. Exactly what you're saying, though. If you have that hop profile with no body behind it, it just does not work,
Yeah,
it's like burning, it's a hop burning, it's harsh.
Yeah. Exactly now, but with this one, I love this beer. I like drinking, obviously. So when you can have a few beers,
it's better. It's better for all of us.
And it's overall to balance, the things. This is why we start with tasting the micro IPA, because it really reflects garage, because it's easy drinking beer, but it's still New England IPA. You get a lot of aroma, a lot of body. It's like a hazy one and everything, but it's so easy to drink, This is why we didn't start with a lager, which kind of seems, from more drinkable styles. But this is, it could get dangerous. One party, my boss was actually drinking just this, low ABV beers, and he still got drunk. So you can get drunk with this ones, but it's just, you need a box basically to carry. So
Justina, can you give us a little bit of history of garage?
Yeah, absolutely.
A short overview, 2015, everything started.
Garage started, I think, it never meant to be. This is where our name comes as well. Garage beer comes, as a very similar name to another famous brewery from New Zealand, Garage Project. And the guys never got the idea that it could be a problem because they thought they will have just a little brew pub with like 4 small fermentation tanks in the middle of a city. That was an idea. So James, the English guy, and Italian guy Alberto, they met in a brewing course like for home brewers, and they were finishing the course and they went for one meeting, and James is he makes decisions like that.
Okay.
And Alberto is the best support person in the world, he can support everyone. I think like whatever you will need, you will be going through something, he will support you,
Okay.
So they met, they had a few beers and they say, yeah, let's open the brew pub. And then they didn't know each other, like, we were not friends, they were not mates, nothing. Like they met in a course, they go for a beer, they decide to make a brew pub. And then, they got sober the next day and the idea still looked pretty good. So then they started to look for a location, and that actually took a while to find a really good spot to open the brew pub. And then they got this really nice place, which is in a pretty I don't think it was a beer kind of a spot, like before the garage came, Beer Camp was
Beer
there.
Camp was there.
Yeah, Beer Camp is like, it's like, I think every, craft beer lover knows the Beer Camp bar because it's like a mecca of a craft beer in basically Europe, I would say.
Yeah.
So they found this location and they started to brew and have a bar, and that was actually, I think, an idea for them, like to have a little small thing to keep themselves busy, serving themselves, beer, like having a lot of fun. We had like some cool couches. We made a few beers, which was green couch and red couch. And a history said that I think most of the staff people and most of the people who work for Garage had a sleep overnight on the couch.
On this couch.
So basically when the people say like, oh yeah, you start a business and you really like, live in your business, they definitely live in that bar.
Okay.
Even, despite their families and girlfriends and everything. So things got like pretty wild over there. I was not with Garage at that time.
And that was where all the brewing was happening, in the brew pub at the back.
Exactly.
There.
Yeah. But I heard some stories. I guess it's always a funny stories, 2 young guys opening a bar.
I can imagine. And
the things were, we also heard that the beer was not in the best place, but we were trying, this is like 6 years.
6 years.
6 years before. So, even the craft beer was in Europe, it was like in pretty like low levels, And then I think first year went like really crazy. I think the lights in the bar never shut because it was either a party, either someone, I don't know, doing whatever. It was always basically open for adventures,
Okay.
And people start to love the place. It's I hope you, Marcus, and all the people have a chance one day to come and visit. It's super fun.
I'm pretty sure there were already some people from Austria in the bar. So shame on me. Never been in Barcelona, but I will come.
Yeah. So and the place is really cool, and it really reflects our garage spirit and everything. The guys did a lot of art collaborations. We are super into artsy things. James' wife, she's doing all the labels for us as well, and the art and garage is very like, they come together all the time. So we had a lot of exhibitions, a lot of even more stuff than we were allowed to meet people actually and everything. But coming back to that, so they had a brew pub, and it came a time when they never had a beer, so you have a brew pub and you don't have your beer because everything is sold out. So they said, okay, this is like, it's not really cool to have a brew pub and have your name and never have your beer.
Yes.
And this is when the San Andreo location comes, and this is where we are today. It's our brewery and a bar. So at this moment, we are sitting in a bar, kind of, or our office in another words. And I guess now you can talk a bit more about the brewery, right?
Yeah, so I think originally they got an English style infusion kit, 2-vessel system for 40 hectoliter batches. We started off originally with 4 tanks, 440 hectoliter fermenters. Or was it 6?
No, 6.
Six.
Yeah.
6. So this was before my time here, but they got 6 40 hectoliter, so single batch fermenters, which at that time, I suppose a lot of it would have been soup.
Yeah, it was like we
IPA.
were releasing 1 beer a month at that time. It's so funny. It was so, for me, when I started working in garage, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to sell? Yes, how am I going to sell this beer? It's so much. And now I'm like, oh my God, that was a joke, you know? But then we started.
Then we added on another 2 tanks of the same size, 40 hectoliters, which was that brought us to 8. And then what year would that have been? 2017, 2018, which was just before I arrived, actually. Probably in the summer of 2018, we put in 480 hectoliters, so double batch tanks.
We didn't plan that. So I was.
They arrived.
It was happening by accident, or what?
No, because, we were like, okay, Justina, how much you can sell? What's the plan? Like, okay, we will do like this. And I was like, okay. We had a plan to get, I think, not 8 in total, but we had a plan to have more single tanks. And then the day when the tanks arrived, I see the fucking double ones. Sorry for a person.
It's okay. It only shows your passion, so.
Yeah, but I was in shock. I lose my legs, I was like, what these ones are doing here? Like, what's that, How I should plan now to brew in these huge tanks, because it's like, we want to have a rotation, we want to change the beers, we want to sold out everything fast to keep a beer super fresh. And I was like, what the hell, But
so that actually became the thing where what you just mentioned, Justina, about beers being super fresh and so on. There was a turning point where we started making much more, which I don't know what time this was, probably just before leaving the brew pub. Well, obviously in that year leading into going from the brew pub to here, the focus started to become more on hazy IPAs, and which were at that time, 2016, still relatively new style, I suppose.
Fresh, young, especially for Europe, yeah.
And so that then kind of became a bit of a driver for what we were doing.
It was fun. When I started working in garage, I was like, okay, we always have a beer, but I would talk with people and I would say like, okay, in 3 months, I have a beer for you. And they would be like, oh, Justina, what the fuck? And I'm like, but in 3 months, you have a beer, but it's just 3 months away, because this was a goal, and we still kind of keep doing this because I think it's the best for a beer, like never to brew too much beer, or like, try to find a home for a beer so it could move fast, because like we talked, Marcus, in our first chat, like it's the best for everyone, for us, because our beer is always fresh, for a distributor and for a consumer, because they just get the product in the best shape,
Yeah. So it's brewed and already sold. So that's the best way you can.
It's already sold out. When it's packaged, it's already sold out.
No, it's really, really cool.
And then you go fight with the salespeople, We're like very good at fighting.
Europe against Spain.
Oh yeah. It's like, it's my case.
It's my case. And canning. When did you get your own canning line? It was also 2017 when you moved to the new brewery.
From the start when we moved here, no?
I think the guys, I don't know, this is one of the thing about one of our bosses, James. He sometimes gets this like weird insight about the future, and no one at the time had a canning line. None of the craft breweries in Spain had a canning line. No.
But I think, I suppose it was sort of looking to what was happening in the States and the UK.
Yeah. So he got this insight that we will start with a canning line. And at the beginning, I think in the first year, it kind of seemed like it's a bad decision, because in Spain especially, no one wanted a can. No one. They said, no, this is a horrible, like, what is like a cheap thing? Like, what's going on, And that was a bit like, we find it pretty difficult to get into the regular bars or something, because people will say, no, I can't serve a beer in a can. It's like, it's the worst beer in a can. And it took us kind of course, all the industry was growing in Spain and everyone was working on that, but it took us a lot of chats with our customers trying to explain, why the cans actually, for the style of the beer we are brewing, why the cans are actually the best solution, So...
And now,
And now, yeah.
Everyone is searching for cans. Everyone wants cans, so that's.
And now it's the shortest of the cans in the world, I guess.
Yeah. It started last year, especially in the States. They were hitting really, really, really hard. But that shows how fast it can change.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah. Really. But we also, we were a bit different, I guess, when we started because we were really caring about some little things, and we got a bit annoying about some little things like refrigerated storage or refrigerated transportation. We got super, super serious about that. We got, we had this discussion as well.
Yeah, we had this discussion, and it makes sense. But on the other hand, there are so many bars, they even give a shit to store the beer cold, and then especially when it comes to the southern parts, Greece, Spain, Italy. So you bring it cold storage, with a refrigerator truck, then it stays outside the fridge, next to the fridge, where the warm air goes directly to the can. And also the temperature is there in the southern countries. And then it kind of falls already, because...
Absolutely. And, it really breaks my heart, but I always say my beer is like my baby, Yeah, I try to raise to the school, then to university, and then it goes to live his life, So I can make sure that it goes until the last customer in a proper stage. I try to make sure that these first stages, in a brewery and then traveling and then getting to you and maybe in a first shop, it goes in the right way. So at least something, that's
I agree.
What we can do.
I agree. For 100%, I agree. Before we go to the next beer, tell us a little bit about the name. Michael, what?
No.
There's
not the real story.
It's a bit of a tricky one. So there's a local pub close to us here called Michael's.
Okay.
Which is maybe 10 minutes away from us walking. And it's where when we could go, we used to go after work on a Friday, we go for a drink down there and any opportunity we got. And it was just because there were one bar where we used to be able to get unfiltered Pilsner Urquell on draft down there. And we were like, let's go down there and have a pint. And so that was why we started going there. And then I think it was a Christmas party, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. It was a Christmas.
No, maybe it was like Barney's leaving party.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was some party, let's say.
Yeah, it was some party, yeah.
One of the parties.
So a big group of us from the brewery went down there, and where do I go with this?
you don't go with this. So it's the dedication of, you guys have to come over and get us a bit more tipsy, not drinking 3.5 beers, and then we will tell you the stories. So all the names come.
Somebody lost something and then found it, essentially.
Okay.
The miracle.
No, but all the names.
The Christmas miracle. It was a Christmas.
It
was a Christmas party.
No, all the names sometimes go in. So I guess our beer is for everyone, but I guess a name sometimes is for us. Because you will see the beers are named very weirdly sometimes, especially for people who don't know us or don't know our brewery. It's like, what the hell you are what's Miracles of Michael's, Reba?
What do you want to showcast?
Exactly, but not all of them, but most of them is kind of inside jokes between the brewers, between the team, between, I don't know, something that happened to all of us, like Okata was our staff party, or these things, which is something you guys read, but for us is something special, like a little message which we don't
remind you or remember you on a really cool
thing. But if you come over to Barcelona or meet us in a festival and we got friends, we tell the stories.
Okay, got you.
So we could probably actually start from the earlier names through to now and sort of see a bit of a history of garage.
Okay. I would say,
Reba,
let's go.
Yeah.
And give one of the newest beers.
You talk about the beer I serve.
Okay.
That's the deal today.
Unfiltered beers. So
I suppose we're dealing with a bit of a tougher crowd here with serving a Pils beer to an audience. But no, so
look at the glass.
Oh, look at that! Brilliant.
It's a Pils glass. Yeah.
Yeah, you're embarrassing us.
No, it's okay.
It's good pour as well. Yeah, so this beer we've been making a Pilsner style beer for our bar, essentially. Well, just for the local market, mostly for quite a few years, and we got more serious about it, I suppose. It's something that I love Pils. I'm big into kind of old world brewing, if you want to call it that, or traditional brewing techniques, I suppose, and recipes and styles and stuff like that. So I was very into kind of trying to improve our Pilsners and our lagers when I came here, and well, we were all kind of said, okay, I think it's time we kind of step up our game on the lager front, and so we've been making changes to our old kind of what was the core local market Pilsner, and then which was changes. I mean, changing everything. It was a change of water profile. It was a change of yeast. It was a change of malt supplier. It was a change of hops. It was a change of process, change of fermentation characteristics. Everything was just a complete overhaul.
I think the funny thing is that, you know, like experimenting is always like a nice attraction and it's like kind of cool stuff. But experimenting with lagers, it takes such a long time.
Yeah. And the point is that there's not really any space for an experiment with a lager or a Pils, you know. So there's the guideline and you must be inside, you know. There's no really space.
This was the thing. So we had a few batches that came out before this. So some of our original, actually the very first beer we put into a small can was a Pilsner that was hopped with 2 New Zealand hops. It was New Zealand style Pils with Motueka, Nelson, and Sauvin. Pretty classic. Well, classic. Classic New Zealand Pils. Then the next one was, again, the 330ml cans, and it was still, I suppose, a little more kind of closer to older school Pilsners, but it was 2 of the kind of more modern German hops with Kalista and Sapphire.
Okay.
And 2 hops I really love. But then when it came back to brewing kind of what was going to be a more core beer potentially, well, I kind of, these 3 hops that are in this are 3 very, well, 2 of the 3 are very classic, Tetmang, Mittelfru, and then Sapphire was the kind of more modern one. Yeah, we wanted to make a Pilsner that was sort of with a kind of a nod to traditional Pilsner, but sort of with a higher hop load to it. So the amount of hopping that there's no dry hopping in it, it's all whirlpool hopping, and we go to quite a high level for a Pilsner, still trying to keep it recognizable as Pilsner, of course. But, you know, why do you want to, it's like this for us, it was like, why do we make a Pilsner if we're just trying to copy what's you can buy from a German or an Austrian or whatever brewery? We want to put our own stamp on it, even if we're using German ingredients or whatever, you know.
I think this was the conversation, you know, that I mean, Owen is the person who is like all about old school beers and traditional recipes and everything. But I mean, the task was to have something which is brewed traditionally and in a good way, but also like it's still a garage Pilsner, you know, like we
get a little bit of a touch from garage.
Exactly, yeah. And I think like, that I don't know when we brewed the first batch for this, but I think it took like quite a while to like tweak the little things and check the hops and this process and everything. So, I mean, this beer, usually because, you know, in New England IPA-based breweries, the things are you just brew a new beer all the time, you know? You don't stick to things, you don't like adapt the recipe or something. Usually you just go for a new beer. And this was, I think it was kind of nice playground for you guys because they had a chance, you know, to go and check, and even if it's a slow process with all this lager time, you know, it was kind of nice and exciting. I think the first one which we released, we lagered for like 100 days.
Yeah. So that actually, I suppose the one thing you mentioned, it says on the can, unfiltered Pilsner as well. So, you can see, I don't know how bright or not bright your can that your glass you poured is, but so this beer on package as a slight haze, that seems more like kind of what it was, well, what I'd recognize as how this beer was when we packaged it, probably from transportation, or maybe I can't see it very well, but yeah, there's a bit of haze to that for sure. No?
Yeah, it's a little bit of haze. How long you storage it?
That is what is in my glass, which you can see
it was cold all the time.
Has settled kind of, so the haze has dropped out within.
It's only one batch. We have only one batch, so it's a first one.
Okay.
So the thing is,
how long you leave it in the tank?
It's about a 45-day.
48 this month.
48-day, was it? 48-day lager.
Yeah.
So
you delay packaging, you remember?
No. So the thing, we use a yeast strain though that's not very flocculent, and that leaves quite a bit of haze, not just yeast haze, but leaves a bit more haze than other. I suppose most people use the Weihenstephan strain, and that's kind of almost every lager you taste from that strain.
Profile, yeah.
We use a different strain that leaves a little more haze. I think it probably leaves a little more body, but you still want to keep a dry and bitter beer. But there's probably some more malt character than you would have sometimes than with this yeast strain.
Mm-hmm.
The brewery that it comes from are kind of more famous for, well, they're famous for many of their lagers, but they specialize in malty lagers. I think they're most famous.
So it's a secret from which brewery comes the yeast?
Oh, it's not a secret. It's Einger.
Einger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a strain that I've used a lot since I started brewing.
Okay.
And I kind of, I really like it. So that's it. We moved to using that yeast here, and
I think with the lager, it was also like kind of a big deal for ourselves, because when you release 4 or 5 New England IPAs every month, you kind of want something for a change a little bit, like as a drinker as well,
Yeah, and that's what I want to say, it's not only in Spain something which is booming, lager, that's the new kind of shit everyone is searching for, Everyone is searching for a lager, and to be honest, this Pilsner is a really, really good Pilsner, because that's often, and that's not really understandable. I had a conversation today with our brewer, because we also run a brewery here in Vienna. It's a really small batch, and we brewed kind of a Helles, which comes out really, really nicely. And then we were discussing, what is the point that brewers in the UK or even in the States, they can brew a proper Helles or Pils, because the easiest way is now go as an Austrian down to the States and say, here I am, I'm God for you. I'm going to make 5,000 hectoliters of perfect Helles or lager, and people will go for it, But the question is why they don't can it. Maybe they're not working clean enough, Maybe, I don't know, because you can.
Is it not the malt?
Treat the water.
All the
Yeah, but what I heard from other people, the ones which are brewing the lagers, because lager is still economical beer, it can be too expensive. So in States to get the malt from Germany or whatever, it's, or, I don't know. That's my guess.
No. Justina, there are superb breweries, Everyone, when it came, for example, for Russian River, everyone is talking about Pliny. But I don't know if you ever tasted their Pils, SDS Pils. It's one of the best Pils beers you can get in the States, Then in Denver, there is this brewery, it's called Bierstadt oder Brauerstadt Lagerhaus.
Yeah.
They're only doing bottom fermented beers, and they can get the ingredients, They have the knowledge and they know how to do it. But what is the special thing? You have to work really, really clean. Storage is something, leave it in the tanks, treat the water, get the right malts.
I think, but this is the thing, I think
get
this
the right yeast.
It's so easy. It's so simple.
It's not easy.
It's basic, but exactly. But it's so difficult to get it right.
The most difficult, it's difficult to get the ingredients, but on the other hand, it's the most difficult beer to brew.
Exactly.
Because there's no space, there is no space for any off flavor or this New Zealand style Pilsner. Yeah. That's a New Zealand style.
You look at, right, so the breweries that are in the States, particularly that have become famous for their lagers, the ones you just mentioned, Suarez Family Brewing, KC Beers, Jack's Abbey, all these breweries though they're focusing very much on lagers now. And that is, I think, the difference.
Yeah,
So you've got your average, your regular brewery that just puts out a Pils, and maybe it's an afterthought. We need a Pils in our portfolio. They're not actually thinking about how should we make this Pils something good and something special.
Yeah.
Be it traditional or not traditional,
but for us as well, like for example, it just now after 4 years brewing in this facility, we were like kind of okay, maybe we are ready to put a lager in a can, because we were brewing lagers for our brew pub and for our own bar and everything, but it was it was not like super confident in that place. But man, the guys, I guess because it was not very easy decision. It was not like let's just put the lager in the cans and that's because that the requirement is really high. It's a simple beer, but it's not simple to make. It's like you say, everything is there. It's like naked. So
and you get a lot of competition, especially when it comes to lager. Then it must be a proper, it must be
Absolutely.
on the point, and then people maybe can understand, and then maybe they're gonna pay more for your lager or for your Pils compared to other Pils beers. Manfred is asking, is this also some kind of a secret behind Rieber? Is it an inside joke of Garage again, or what means Rieber?
The name, Justina, you probably know more about Rieber than me, do you? Like the old name, the old beer.
Okay, so we have a few level of stories in Garage.
Okay.
Some stories I am allowed to know as I join the company. Some stories is still hidden. So Rieber one is hidden from me as well. I don't know if you hear, because for some people, it depends how much you get our bosses drunk. They tell some stories. So you basically have to have a party for us to know the stories behind the names.
Yeah, but Rieber was one of the original beers that we brewed in the brew pub in 2015 was called Rieber, but it wasn't a Pilsner. It wasn't. I don't know what it was actually. It was a pale ale. Was it?
It was warm fermented Pilsner or something like.
So it was probably some shit. But it was called Rieber. But we liked the name Rieber, and we thought it was in a different context. It's still a good name,
Okay, but that means then it's kind of an old name, but it will stay because now it's a core range beer and it will be Rieber.
Yes, exactly. So this one has the best intention, I guess, to stay with us. Everyone needs some mushrooms, And
why you're doing the pills and putting on mushrooms? Where comes this connection?
I mean, I think Garage was always a place which leaves a bit of unanswered questions. So I guess we will leave the mushrooms for unanswered questions as well now. Guys, you have to come over for a party. Come on.
Okay,
you can just feel all this.
Then you have to promise us that you tell us all the stories why we get mushrooms on the Pils. It's called Rieber, which is an old name from 2015. Then we have Michael's Bar, where Owen went to drink unfiltered Pilsner. Now you have an unfiltered Pilsner, so it's kind of...
It's all a trip, man.
Yeah, it's all a trip.
Garage is a brewery which has a lot of stories. Most of the breweries, I guess, has a lot of stories, but we like to create the stories. And I guess this is why, we have a team. All our team is coming from all around the world, I think we have 15 people and 14 nationalities or something like that in a brewery. So it's, everyone bring their own stories. And when we all are, we're having a good time living here in Barcelona, brewing beers, selling beers, and it's a fun job.
Cool, does it mean then, on the other hand, that everyone can come with an idea of a recipe? Is this how it works there? And then there's a recipe, then you came out with a name, and then
the names,
the label, or is there a label, the name, and you brew a beer for the label and the name, or how does this kind of thing works?
The process starts with me and brewers and sometimes the owners of a company. We sit down on a table, and when we think what is working, what is not working, what is needed for a season, what we would like to drink as well, like maybe now a bit more of what we would like to drink. This is what we also get with Brewer's Choice beer, which is a beer which people say that, it's maybe not a time, why did you brew it? But we basically brew a beer for ourselves, for a team, for another brewers, I guess, and of course for all the people, but a bit more thinking what we would like to drink. And so first we sit down together all, and then we decide what we want, we need, and what could work as the fresh combo, because like for example for you, we send a pallet of a beer built in some way, and then you get amount of this and this and this. So we want to have a nice selection to always represent the garage. We also want to have a few of our core range beers and everything. So it goes in like some kind of a team effort, really. We have our bosses who kind of like decides on, okay, is it still garage or it's not anymore? Me, who is deciding what people are actually buying at this moment, and the brewers who decide, hey, no, we don't go to that direction, or we can brew it, we can do amazing this kind of IPA or whatever or something. So it's definitely a team effort.
Yeah.
And then all the pressure goes on the brewery side.
The brewers.
And then all the pressure goes on my side to make sure that the beer, leaves the beer house or like even sold out before the packaging. And then we go in the same circle. It's like,
okay. But then who has the final decision for the names?
James.
That's the boss. One of the bosses, James. That's his names, and his wife does the labels. And generally, there's no connection between the name or the label or the beer.
Or sometimes it's like a family.
It depends.
Yeah, it's like a family business. Like things just happen sometimes. Sometimes we can't get the label if.
Yeah.
It's very, I think garage is very homey kind of a thing,
Cool. And how is the build going so far? What? Sorry.
Before before you move on to the next beer, if that was what you were going to do, I want to ask you about what your how you see the difference between a pils like this versus a classic pils that you might drink in Vienna.
So as I told you before, it's fresh, it's crisp, it's kind of really clean and straight on the tongue, so it goes really straight. And the nice thing is that it's kind of already drying out your mouth, and that means, that you want the next sip, so you're getting thirsty when you drink it. So maybe, in my opinion, maybe it's a little bit too hoppy. But the body and the aroma is really, really good, and especially for a brewery, let's say from Spain, producing these pills now. It's a really, really good job.
Cheers. Thanks. Yeah.
No, really, because I'm really normally, and Justina was the reason that I brought in these Pilsner, because normally my rule is not import any lager or Pils beers to Austria from international markets, because we have enough, this is pulling like water in the sea. But I'm happy, that I got this. And today one of my co-workers told me, Markus, wait, you have to taste these Pilsner. It's superb. It's on the point. And so it's the first time that I drink it, and it's really, really. And believe me, I tell you, if the beer is not there, then I will tell you, because it's important for you and for all of us,
Yeah, it's funny, the comment you make about the hoppiness of it. It's something that, like, internally we discuss amongst the team here of how hoppy do we actually want to make this beer as a Pilsner. And what I said at the start about trying to differentiate from traditional pils, that was kind of where we're going with, trying to make it that hoppy. And that's the kind of garage touch, I suppose, as well, because we're...
what you mentioned already before, how high are the ABUs?
IBUs are about 45.
So, wow. Yeah, that's why I told you, it's a little bit too hoppy, because Jever is one of the most hoppiest IBU fullest beers you can get when it comes to Pilsner. This is around 30, something like this, and often it's already too hoppy and too intense for kind of traditional Pils drinkers. So really, for me, it's a little bit too hoppy, but on the other hand, it's from an international market, from a small brewery. Well done.
It's a garage Pilsner,
Yeah. No, it's really nice.
I'm happy you like it.
Cool. So then I would say go to the next one. Again, a pink label with some, I don't know, freebies. Freebies, huh?
You talk, I pour.
Freebies. Yeah, so another pink can, which we've gone through.
We're not talking about the names, we're not talking about the labels, because they are all kind of hidden, and when we come, then we talk about.
Yeah, so the beer you're looking at here is, so again, actually, I suppose there's something a little in common. We're more known for brewing hazy East Coast style IPAs, and over the last few months, maybe the last 6, 7, 8 months, we started brewing more West Coast styles. Partly, like Justina was saying, about stuff that we want a bit more of as well for ourselves, to have something.
Tell that true story. Our bar manager said that he's not going to talk with me if I will not put a West Coast on a schedule. So that's a real story. And I say, okay, I love you, Stefano. You have to get your beer. It's okay. Everyone have a word in this company, So we basically, the first one, really, we decided to brew the first West Coast just for our bar guys, because our bar, if you ever will go to Garage Bar, you will be welcome with arms open. They are incredible. I don't remember.
New kicks.
New kicks, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we brewed one every month essentially of West Coast IPAs over the past 6 months, obviously, if it was 6, and just playing with malt profile, hop profile, and bitterness levels, everything, because it's funny. People are now so accustomed to drinking beer, younger people particularly, I suppose, think IPA, they think hazy IPA, they don't think West Coast IPA.
The regular IPA, if you say IPA, people expect the New England one.
So you think bitterness is sort of disappeared away from IPAs, which was the hallmark of an IPA back, before. So that was a kind of thing where we experimented with various IPAs with different West Coast IPAs with differing bitterness levels. All of us in here, I'm a fiend I love bitterness, and I love proper bitter dry beers. But not everybody does. And so yeah, we were kind of just playing with it, different hop combinations, got to a kind of malt profile. A lot of the old West Coast IPAs were kind of heavy enough on crystal malt with quite a lot of bitterness in there. Mm-hmm. And I suppose the more modern ones then, and particularly what I suppose I grew up more familiar with in Ireland, but also when I was in the UK, it was essentially just base malt, just pale malt was the way to go. A lean malt profile to allow the hops to shine and so on, which I love. But I've kind of come back for this is a little bit of a middle ground. It is pretty lean. There's not much, there's very, very, very small amount of caramel malt in there, but just a little touch to give you that slightly sticky thing when you're interacting with the bitterness. So that's the kind of idea. And then more specifically on this beer, that was kind of the journey to where we're brewing and how we're brewing our West Coast IPAs at the minute. This hop profile. Did they get no plasticity? No.
No.
Okay, so was very much.
Or maybe yes. Yeah, I think so. Maybe.
What?
You guys got plasticity as well in your orders? I know not in a tasting, but we sent some plasticity as well. Yeah. Oh, we tasted the Marcus for our first official tasting.
We had an online tasting. Yeah, plasticities. Yeah.
Okay, so that was the previous West Coast IPA we'd done, which was kind of more the classic flavors of pine and citrus.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one, we were going, okay, let's push it a little more fruity, a little more tropical. So it was, I think Citrus Simcoe, Equinaut, and Mosaic, if I'm not mistaken.
Something more.
I might be wrong with one of them, but I think that's it.
Citra Mosaic, it's right. It's perfect, yeah.
So,
you're right.
Yeah, we were thinking, I suppose, very much modern West Coast IPA, and something that is in touch with our hazy IPAs in a way, but still with the bitterness behind it and the drier finish. So,
but West Coast IPA is getting something like a revival at the moment. Everyone is doing it. And it's kind of a new beer style for the young ages, as you already mentioned before. Because they think that all this hazy intake and all that kind of thing that's an IPA. But we're going to have to teach and show them, what's possible. And this is a way better, as I told, always open and transparent, this is a way better for me compared to
plasticity, yeah.
Plasticity, because the problem with this beer was, in my opinion, the alcohol stays really out, it was really intense tasting of alcohol,
Oh, and plasticity is...
Yes, that's what I have. What I remember, but compared to this one, I agree, it's kind of a mixture a little bit, but I think it's a good way to introduce West Coast to the younger generation on this way, because they still have this haziness. It's kind of a little bit, as I already mentioned, a little bit of tropical notes, but it gets this piney, this really grassy notes. And this one makes sense to put it in the core range. It is in the core range now also, huh?
It's in some way. I'm not allowed to say the news yet.
And the point is, this is the gluten-free beer, huh? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So this was also sometimes people, and even myself, I used to never drink the gluten-free beers because I thought that, it's like a non-alcoholic beer for me or something, something which I don't need in my life or something. But then actually we were talking with the brewers a lot and discussing what's the difference, why the beer is gluten-free or why it's not. And then in bright beers or West Coast or lagers, the basic difference is using enzyme, and I don't know, Owen, you can talk a bit more about that, I guess.
So there's obviously ways to brew gluten-free beer, which is using gluten-free grains and cereals. But that's all fine, and I admire people that do it because it's challenging, and it's challenging to make something that's recognizable for all of us that are drinking barley-based beers as a beer. So we're using the same thing. Most people that make gluten-free beers, an enzyme that just chops the gluten proteins into smaller and differing less, completely, it eliminates the gluten from the beer. And the beer remains exactly the same. And I was skeptical. I remember years ago when this product first came out, because it came out, there was a couple of companies, I think White Labs made something called Clarity Firm, and then someone else, Brewers Clarex, were the two kind of product names that was on it, and both the same protease, an enzyme that just chops up gluten. And I was skeptical of, it's like, come on, you can't take the gluten out of beer and still have it tasting the same. And then this is actually going back a bit. I was at a homebrew conference in Dublin speaking to one of the speakers. Well, here.
We have to come back.
the Irish homebrew scene is actually really good, like really strong. We had Chris White.
You live in Spain now, come on.
I know, but I've got to still represent the Emerald Isle here. So we had Chris White, the founder of White Labs, over from California to give us a talk. And I spoke to him after it about this enzyme, and he says, yeah, it was developed for, as the name suggests, clarity firm to clear your beer in some level by chopping proteins. And I said, but surely that does something to flavor. And he says, not a thing. And he said, every single beer that we serve, because they have a tap room that they have like all of their yeast strains, but it's just, there could be 40 taps and they do just whatever. And he says, every single beer gets that enzyme because they want it for clarity, not for gluten-free. And then I think the next thing was Stone Brewing brewed beers. They were brewing quite a few of their beers with it for a time being. And then there was a Stone beer that kind of was the sort of publicity and the marketing for that enzyme. I can't remember the name of it right now.
Delicious. Was it Delicious IPA? Delicious IPA?
I think so.
Green can. I think it was a green can. Green, dark green and light green.
Yeah.
But with this beer, we also have like, when we make a decision, like these beers, the ones which for people who don't know garage, maybe it's a regular introduction of the beers. But for us, introducing garage with a lager and a West Coast is super weird. It's so strange because usually I will go to the festival with 25 IPAs, New England IPAs, and that will be garage,
But sometimes it's getting boring. Especially for the brewers, sorry to interrupt you, but when you're brewing always the same kind of style, it's okay, but it's not the way a brewer wants to represent the brewery, bring some variety, and that's important.
And I think our brewery was, in my opinion, in this point when we were actually good to brew all these traditional styles or something, it was. I think I trust the brewers so much right now that basically I can give whatever task for them and they give me amazing product, But with this one, we were still, we wanted to go it slowly. It was not just like, oh yeah, let's do gluten-free and that's it. We actually, for 3 months, I think, we were releasing the beers, which was West Coast, and no one knew that it's a gluten-free. So we said, okay, let's see what people say, what people, if they will start to complain about the body, if they will start to complain about something. No one said a word. Everyone loved the West Coast. Everyone was happy with that. And then we were like, okay, when we say like, we talk with some of our distributors or friends, we say, okay, try this beer. We try the beer, they say whatever they want to say about the beer, and we say like, it's a gluten-free. And we're like, oh no, why I'm drinking gluten-free beer? I was like, because there is no difference.
There's no difference.
Sometimes I'm a little bit afraid to say that it's a gluten-free beer because I don't want to brand it just for people, the celiac people who can have a regular beer, because I think it's a brilliant West Coast and it will be a waste if all the people will not try it.
But to be honest, 6 years ago, no one was talking about gluten-free. No one was talking. So it's also kind of a, I don't know, hipster kind of thing. Gluten-free. I can handle the gluten. I need G-free.
It is true, and it's not, because we have one of our team members. She can drink a beer because it has gluten, and now she is drunk every day.
Of course, there will be people on this planet, which cannot handle gluten, but go only remember the supermarket shelves 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So what those people got, what kind of options they had in the past, They
were drinking wine.
No options, and now the shelves are full, with G-free, gluten-free, and all that kind of stuff. So Gabriele is asking for the West Coast. Do you add also oats a little bit?
No, it's essentially extra pale malt, a small touch of malted wheat, a small touch of torrefied wheat, and a tiny amount of a very light caramel malt.
Okay. And then there's a question coming out: if enzymes are allowed to use in Austria, And if I remember right, it's forbidden to use enzymes in a beer in Austria. And I don't know for Germany, but I guess they are still under this purity law, because we in Austria, the brewers can do whatever they want, excluding enzymes. It's not allowed. It's kind of illegal to use enzymes. That's what I know so far. And for Germany, I really don't know. Because when there are a few gluten-free beers in Austria, but they're all using grains, which are gluten-free, which not contained in.
It will be cool. Like, you remember we were talking as well about, like, the beers which are brewed to be gluten-free without like any barley or oats or something. It will be interesting to like experiment with that, but that's what
Steve is doing something, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, well, you're looking at specialist brew houses and you're looking at specialist kit to do it. That is just. And
also in contamination as well, because it's like
it's a different thing. And like I said, if sorghum, quinoa, rice, they don't taste like barley. They don't taste like malted barley once they're fermented. So it's not the same thing as drinking this,
Absolutely.
Not that I would problem with it, but that is sort of, for me, if a person who can't tolerate gluten wants to taste what regular beer tastes like, I suppose is the
because that's the problem, most of the gluten-free beers which are not used or added some enzymes, then they taste completely different. Because then it's going on the body, the mouthfeel is different, the taste is different, but
yeah. But this is my West Coast, like when we're talking, for me, this is a West Coast. And then for someone who needs this, it's a gluten-free.
You have this option. You need it, it's gluten-free.
Exactly, yeah. It's like, this is why, but I was really afraid, like, because I had the same perception, but because I also asked Owen, you remember we did the tasting with other gluten-free beers, and I say, why they all taste shit? I can't find a nicer word, but it didn't really taste nice. And I say, okay, so it should be about brewing these beers, that it's impossible. It's maybe a challenging to brew a nice West Coast or whatever kind of style beer, which will be a gluten-free. And it's not that challenging, no?
Yeah.
Well, as long as if your base beer you're starting with is good, this is not going to make it inferior in any way.
I will send you some Austrian options after the tasting. I will do this.
Nice.
Cool.
I will do this.
The question, though, the one thing that, like I was saying at the start, was people's acceptance of bitterness these days and how bitter. So this beer is, okay, I would say on the kind of
70.
I would say this beer is sort of moderate to high bitterness. It's not extreme bitterness.
But what's the IBUs then? 70? 75?
Yeah, pretty much around that. Yeah. Plasticity, the other one we were talking about, a calculated IBUs was the same, but it came across as a slightly more bitter beer. But for me, and I think, I don't know, this is what I want. I want at least this level of bitterness in a West Coast.
Yeah, in a West Coast style. Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah.
Today, our boss Alberto, he said like, "Oh, Justina, but maybe about West Coast when we say modern IPA," and I was like, "Alberto, but West Coast is like, it's not a modern, but now it's kind of this is where it started. The circle kind of closed because now West Coast is becoming kind of a modern style,
again,
But how crazy is this, because West Coast is, Stone IPA in 1996 was a West Coast IPA, so it's an historical beer style, and in the guidelines, for example, for a World Beer Cup, 2016, it was not really in the guidelines, it was not an official style, this kind of new England, NIPA and all that kind of stuff. So they have to create and write the new guidelines for this new beer style. So, anyway.
No, it's funny.
It's the West Coast and it's not a new West Coast for a new beer style. So it's a traditional beer style. Okay. Now we're gonna move to.
Now we are really going to the garage.
Now we're getting
garage territory.
Give me 1 minute.
Yes.
Okay.
Of course. Okay, guys. So now we are really going to the real garage territory.
Yes.
So this is where we.
Sorry. Keep on a minute. So free space IBUs are around 70 to 75 because there's a question coming out. That's what we discussed already. Now the stage is yours.
Thank you. So we are going to absolutely garage territory. And I know we are pretty new brewery in Austria, but I really wanted to start with these new things which we are starting. But this is what we do. So when it comes to New England IPAs, I think this is our drill, you know, this is what we do in garage. I think we brewed so many of them and we worked on the recipes so many nights and days, I guess. So this is what garage does, New England IPAs. And let's crack this one on. So this one is also a collaboration with our friends from Montana Colors. Montana Colors is like a spray, like a graffiti spray company. This is why the label looks like a top of the spray can. And we collaborate, like I told you, we collaborate with a lot of artists, and graffiti and garage is like, you know, a synonyms. And these guys came up with an idea to make a spray, like a, you know, graffiti spray, I think, with a color of a beer. And then we have to brew the beer matching the color. And this is where we get RV 301, right?
Okay.
1021.
Oh yeah, I'm getting always mistaken with another one. Okay, Owen.
Yeah, so how does it match?
No, intense.
Give
Fruity.
Do we have a spray here, Noel?
Yeah, because now when you told me or told us the story, you know, it's a spray can from the top, then okay, yeah, now I can see it, yeah.
Yeah, put some light against that, and it's really quite similar. But
so this is actually the spray can and the color. Why it's not branded, Noel?
Because it's not the other one.
Noel is our marketing manager and he didn't do a job.
Austria.
Come say hi, Noel. You have to jump on a bar.
Hello. I have it, but
So yeah, so as I told you, the art and garage goes together a lot, and we have millions of graffitis again. When you will come to visit, you will see all of them, and they all have a story. Again, the secret until we will have a beer together. But yeah, so it's kind of really cool. Usually, you know, breweries do collaborations with another breweries, but we kind of like to go to this artistic side as well. So it was a really nice project. Of course, it took a lot of nerves for Noel, our marketing manager, to manage producing the spray and a beer on the same time and being delivered. It was kind of a challenge. Yeah, but all things apart, we have a nice mural now painted there with like a professional graffiti artist. And we have an amazing beer. So about the beer.
Yeah. So this, I think, as Justina was saying, is more like this is what a garage is sort of come to be known for, the hazy New England style. But the only thing I'll say, okay, so if you look at this, it's a hop combination of two hops, Mosaic and Columbus. One which is obviously extremely used in brewing these types of beer, being Mosaic. The other one, Columbus, which I absolutely adore. It's a very old school, not very fashionable hop, but given its time to shine, paired with something really fruity and really tropical, or really, just any of the more modern hops, I just love it. This is for me, it's one of my favorite IPAs that we've actually brewed in, I don't know how many, in the last number of years.
This one.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. This is as a very personal.
Yeah.
I just like that danker touch to it all. A little more herbal character, like weed, marijuana kind of in with the fruitiness.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we had the idea to match the color of the can, or the color of the spray. So there was a blend of base malts, being at 7%. Okay, the higher you go in alcohol, the darker the beer is potentially going to get if you're using the same base malt. So with a blend of base malts, I don't know how that goes. It's not far.
It's not far. It's not far. No.
So yeah, we used a blend of base malts, like a low color base malt, and then our regular Golden Promise is the base malt for most of our IPAs, like our 6 to 7% IPAs, and then plenty of the usual characters, the wheat, oats, and let me see, it was then Columbus Mosaic all the way, like I said, and I just love the balance you get between that fruity, mango-y character from the Mosaic with the rassier, herbal kind of side of Columbus. Look, I suppose I like a lot. I like fruity, really fruity, saturated, overripe fruit IPAs, but when you're drinking them all the time and everybody's brewing with Citra, Mosaic, Strata, Amarillo, Simcoe, all hops I love, but for me, when I put something like that in a beer, it stands out for me, and I'm just like, that's kind of just got this balance of our palette of aromas and flavors that I love.
And this is like when you were gone, I said that this is absolutely a garage territory,
Yeah.
This is where we are like, this is what we do. And this, maybe a previous beers were what we try and we feel comfortable now to do, but this is our thing.
This is our bread and butter.
I think that was the first, at least for me, that was the first beer which I tried and which I brewed in garage as well, brewed with Dan. But still, like this is, the New England IPAs, it's something.
It's what we have made our name for, I suppose.
And this beer is super nice drinkable, It has 7.0 ABVs, you can taste the ABVs, it's really balanced, it's really round. Mouthfeel is really...
This is where the danger comes.
Aftertaste is perfect. No, it's really, really nice. And it's dangerous, of course, because the alcohol is really hidden, and it's easy to drink and super, super nice.
This is how we get all the names for the beers,
Okay.
But it's also
1, 2, 3, 4 after 5 cans and you name it.
It's also like 7%, and this is another point of discussion for myself and Justina. But for like 7% IPAs for me are the sweet spot of.
You change your mind.
I don't change my mind.
He used to hate 7% ABV. He used to hate them.
That's a lie. So
it's not a lie. I have a written record. Because we decide on the beers, and then I will want him to brew a beer in 7 or 7.5 or 6 point whatever. And then, we used to get in a huge fight because he was saying, no, like 7 is not like, it's almost a double, maybe, 7 to 8 should not be any beers.
Justine is very forgetful, right? So you might No, for 7%, I think just to have, it's on that tipping point of you've got enough alcohol flavor, not that you taste higher alcohols or hot alcohols, but there's enough alcohol in there that really contributes something. And with the level of hop character and everything, for me, for IPA, I just love around that 7% mark. It's the best.
It's just, just this year.
So, yeah. okay, obviously in terms of drinkability, well, not drinkability, but I mean, drinking cans and cans or pints and pints of, it's on the higher side. But yeah, if you want a flavor experience, for me, 7% for an IPA is the way to go.
Sweet spot, yeah. No.
Sweet spot. No, but yeah, I can understand this point, Justina. So yeah, because if it's getting too high, you can see it.
Me too.
Yeah.
He just changed his mind, you know?
Okay.
He used to be super against like 7 whatever beers.
But now he is.
I was not allowed to choose this, you know, but
Okay.
we should not bring the painful things here.
Yeah.
It's a happy tasting.
So coming back to the bar in Barcelona, is there also, you're serving food there, or is it only come, drink, celebrate?
We have like a very, very little kitchen. So we can
Tapas.
do like some tapas, yeah, some snacks, because it's, you know, we sell high BB beers mostly. So we want people to eat, because otherwise we bring them out, you know, from a bar. But, and also there is a lot of millions of restaurants around and everything. And our bar is still mostly for drinking, I will guess. But yeah, we will have like a few very, very good tapas. And I guess we are always thinking about having more bars, and maybe, you know, as I told you, all our team is like bringing a lot of cultural differences and everything. So we also bring a lot of culture of food and everything. So it will be nice to have one day interesting restaurant with like influence of one of our cuisines or something, not Irish.
Not Irish.
What's wrong with the potatoes?
How is the Estonian kitchen, you know? Talking about Irish kitchen and Estonian kitchen, I don't know, you know, which one is.
Estonian.
Yeah.
Lithuanian.
Lithuania, yeah. Sorry.
That's our
Sorry.
And
But
he's
then,
from UK, right? And then
Yeah, there we go.
and this is the tasting is done.
no, Lithuanian cuisine, you know, what's.
No, it's
Or what does it say, you know? What is the main dish from Lithuania?
Yeah.
What is the main dish in Lithuania?
Like a zeppelin, which is like a potato shaped, like a zeppelin, like a weird thing which is shaped in a zeppelin, and it has like meat inside and covered with potatoes and with a sour cream and with like more fat, and it's a fatty food, you know.
Yeah, and it's kind of similar. I was in Tbilisi in Georgia. And they also have this kind of dumplings, you know.
It's very,
Yeah.
We eat a lot, we drink a lot in Lithuania, you know. I think actually, not that it's amazing fact, but I think Lithuania is the 3rd country in Europe by beer consumption. So
No. Always a fight between Czech, Austria, and Germany. Those are
we're you know, Lithuanians usually are very quiet, but we drink, so we can double check.
Maybe you drink more vodka or more hot stuff, but I guess not more beer.
Let's see.
Let's see.
Check the statistics. Yeah. Like, you know, my country is absolutely incredible. It's a small secret country in the middle of nowhere, but we drink for sure.
Should be promoting the podcast Saturday night.
But then before we go to the next
Actually, no, I'll make a plug for Lithuanian beer, because any beer historians that aren't or any beer historians who haven't already explored Lithuanian beer, there's a massive, like, old culture of farmhouse brewing there that
exactly
should be explored.
Really?
Yeah.
It's really interesting. There's a guy from Norway who's done lots of books. Well, not lots of books. He's done a book and lots of research on farmhouse brewing in Europe, and most of it's centered around obviously Norway, Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, and there's some very, very interesting stuff that's still brewed to this day. Like Lithuania is probably one of the only countries that still has like a real farmhouse brewing culture that still exists.
But how is the beer style called? Tell me. Do you know the
Various, what do you
We
call
have
it?
a different ones. We have one which is made from bread. So first you bake the bread and then you make a beer from a bread. This is like a kepininis, which is very like unique thing as well. And we have
it's coming in Europe also, you know, that you
No,
go.
what you've got, this is a different, where you actually bake the mash.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kepininis, yeah.
Kepininis.
Yeah. Some crazy stuff there going
Have a
on.
look. There's a PDF that you can get of like 40 pages on Lithuanian beer from this guy Lars Marius Garsol.
I will make a research.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting. And if you come to visit, Lithuania is the best country for travel now. It's amazing. It's so tiny, you can't get lost there. No, but the beer traditions, even, you know, like myself, remembering growing up, the beer is a thing in Lithuania. Like everyone drinks beer, and we have lots of course, mass production breweries as well, but there is lots of craft breweries, like a tiny little ones. There is these like really craft ones, like the real craft, not like a new hipster craft, but the real
Not like garage. Okay.
and it's funny, and yeah, and
And a
of course,
family.
Yeah.
exactly, recipes and everything, and yeah,
You'll see it with a lot of the smaller yeast companies
they have
are starting to isolate lots of strains from Lithuanian farmhouse breweries and stuff. So
No, I will. Thanks for the hint, Owen. I will have and make some research.
Not Estonian.
Yeah. Sorry, it was my mistake. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Sorry.
No worries.
No.
Of course. Should we move on to the next beer, maybe?
Yes.
Okay.
But that means, you know, if you like this beer a lot, can it then happening that you're gonna rebrew it, or is it something which is not happening at all?
The way I would, we don't really rebrew beers we used to kind of go through cycles of beers where we would brew a new beer a number of times, like 2-3 times. Now it's more, we're just newer beers. But I suppose from my point of view and from the brewer's point of view, the base of this beer, for example, like what I'm saying about the dank kind of resinous characteristics in the background with a brighter fruity character on top, something in that style will be something that it'll definitely be brewed again, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. Triple soup. So intentionally, I didn't put the soup, which is the one and only core range beer before with small cans. So soup is a beer which was brewed the first time in a brewery when we opened here in San Andreo, and it's a beer. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
And the first beer which we can, let's say like this.
Yeah.
And then this beer we brew every single month with huge tanks, which I didn't want, but I got it. So these ones are always full of soup, and
Now you know why you got it.
and it's actually the beer which probably I love the most, because I think I'm just sentimentally attached to that, because the brewery grow with this beer. So it's still the soup. It's very, I don't know, like very famous duo of the hops. It's Citra and Mosaic.
Yeah.
And I think it's difficult to go wrong with these two hops. They are just like the best beer in the world, you know. And it was my first beer which I brewed with one of our brewers to learn the process. It was the first beer which I tried. I guess for you it's pretty similar as well. And soup is something in our hearts. So talking about the labels, they are made in-house in a family. James' wife is an incredible designer. I think she is actually a part of Garage success as well.
Absolutely.
She is so talented that she brought the message of art, of Garage, of, you know, changes of things. Like in the autumn, we go in a dark colors and like some deep thinking. In the summer, we go to super pinks. Like you can already feel that she's like relaxed now and happy because she go in the pink colors and butterflies and things, you know. So you basically can track probably her life moods and seasons and everything. And as well, the brewery, you know. So the labels are very important for us. And the soup label was actually in a pink one. It doesn't look that macaroni, that pasta, but the soup was written by the pasta thing, you know, when you do for a
The
children.
noodles in the soup.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you get like a can, isn't it? Well, I don't know, in Ireland and the UK, there was like cans of soup of pasta.
In Austria, it's called Buchstabensuppe. Buchstabe means letter, translated to English, you know, it's a letter soup.
So that worked. So, you know, one day she just, because James and Seb, they have a little boy, and he's not little anymore, I guess. But at that time, she made this, you know, soup for him with these letters. And when she's, you know, an artist, she sees the letters and is like, okay, that's it. I have to. So she took the I don't know what's the English name for this thing, you know, when you.
No, we understand what you mean.
Exactly. She took off with the tweezers soup letters and she photographed them.
But she'd seen the beer, wasn't it? And as well, and she was like, it looks like soup.
Yeah. Exactly. So this is what it goes. And this year we were celebrating the 5th year? No, 4th.
6th of what?
6th of a brewer and
a fourth of the brewery.
So it was a celebration. We have a lot of celebrations. In Garage, we love celebrations.
You always celebrate.
And, it's like underfill. And overfill. And this is why we decided to actually play a little bit and make a triple version of our beloved soup. There it is. And about the soup, Owen.
Yeah, so with it, we were with the idea to use a number of different hop products. Like the hop world is developing all the time. So we get our hops from a couple of different suppliers, but you know, there's always not always, but they're constantly developing new hop products. And this was a beer where we're like, okay, if we're going to brew a triple version of soup, let's do it with some of the kind of more advanced and newer and impactful hop products that are on the market. So we decided we would use what we got on the spot now. So Incognito, which is like a liquid whirlpool hop. And that's from Barthas. Simply Hops, Barthas and Simply Hops distribution in Europe.
5 difference.
And so yeah, we had that in the whirlpool, and then so our standard IPAs, for example, our regular beers we're brewing with pellets, hop pellets, T90 pellets, occasionally cryo pellets, well not occasionally, but often cryo pellets. But we wanted to get like the most rounded character of Mosaic and Citra you could get in the one beer. So we had Incognito in the whirlpool. We had, during fermentation, we were adding Simply Hops Barthas BBC pellets, which are like a condensed pellet. We had T90 pellets from Yakima Chief, which are your kind of standard T90s, but like very high quality. We had cryo pellets of both Citra and Mosaic as well. And then Spectrum, which is the newest hop product on the market, really, and which I think you're going to hear. Spectrum. So it's like a liquid dry hop. And it's not like hop oil or anything like that. It's just purely liquid hops. It's not extracted. It's liquid hops. With lower polyphenol, lower plant matter. So, use a kilo of that is sort of 8 kilos of equivalent of 8 kilos of hops. So we added that as well, finally. And yeah, that was the idea, to really kind of get every aspect of
it had to be big, you know, because also soup is big for us. It's big for people who know garage. They know soup. So it's kind of, we couldn't, basically, do you remember when we had a planning, I say, okay, you can't fuck up with this beer. This is not an option, you know, this can go wrong. It have to go right.
But then it means for the first time it's brewed, this triple IPA.
Yes. The triple version, yes. Yeah. It's the first time. And probably only one. It's like we celebrate the birthday and it's done now. Yeah. So, yeah, so if someone can buy a can now, they should.
But with it, I think you get more, well, soup, regular, like soup IPA is very passion fruit forward, I suppose. This, with all the different hop products in there, I got a lot more mango, a lot more pineapple.
And also some kind of stone fruits, you know, peaches is coming out, you know, that kind of thing I'm getting. Yeah, apricot.
So that's the exciting thing about like these hop products, though, is that, which we will be brewing more of with these things, is like to brew single hop versions of beers, for example. If you're just using, you've got one type of Citra, one type of Amarillo, whatever you have, T90s, it's one batch, one lot. Okay, it's fine, it's good. If it's excellent, it's going to be an excellent beer. But if it's not excellent, it's maybe one-dimensional. If you've got a batch or a number of different batches or a number of different hop products from the same hop, you're just like adding in different layers of what that hop can give. And so, you know, that's the exciting thing for us, for brewers and drinkers, is to try and like get everything, every aspect that you like about a particular hop into a beer. So you'll probably see more of these types of beers, single hop beers, if we get our hands on these versions of these hops, you know, these formats.
But it means that it's also difficult even for you to get the hands on that kind of different versions.
Yeah, well, like with Spectrum, for example, which is the liquid dry hop that I'm talking about, it's very new. There's only limited quantities in Europe. There's only limited quantities in the States as well. But yeah, like we've got good relationships though with our hop suppliers that we can get certain amounts.
That's really important, you know. And most of the brewers say, we have a really good relationship with the hop growers and with these companies. You know, everyone wants to get, because that's one of the key things, you know.
I think it's weird one, you know, in a way that everything is still like a bit more old school, in a way that everything is based on a friendship and relationship, and you really like, you know, like, I don't know, like we decide to brew a beer with, I don't know, whatever, let's say other half, right? And they just send their recipe, whatever their precious beer recipe to us, and we send to them as well. It's like, there is no like this secretive thing. There is all the sharing.
That's the best thing in our industry, you know, which we are working in, you know. This transparency, you know, everyone is sharing ideas, you know, you can teach them, you can learn from them, you know, educate them, tell them some secrets, you know. There are no secrets in that kind of industry, you know. Compared with spirits or with the wine industry, it's a completely different game, you know.
No, exactly. And it's more like, more like a bit closer contact kind of a thing. Like, I mean, you know, you get to know the people, you meet them, and it's a little bit more friendship here as well. Like
of course, there's more opportunities though for developing friendships. There's more events, there's more more whatever.
I think the whole industry is built on friendships overall, you know. If you really get known the right persons, you know, then easily, you know him, you must know him, yes, we know him, you know. It's really connected, you know, and it's really built on a friendship base.
A lot. And it's super nice, you know, because like there is this, like, I think, like I always say, like, oh, my beer family, you know, these beer people which I have, it's very weird friendships, because you meet, like, we used to meet like once in a month somewhere around the world for like a couple of days of drinking, you know. But you get drunk, you get to know these people, and and then you help each other. Like, you always talk if you have any problem, you know, you want to check, you start to work with a new distributor. I call someone which I know we're working, I say, hey, how's it going? Owen wants to do something, whatever style we never do, but there is another brewery who do it very well. He just picks up a bone and that's it, like for me, this is really cool. Like the really cool part of like
that industry.
Yeah, that you communicate and get in touch with people. It's lovely.
No, Fabian is writing, see you guys in the bar in Barcelona. So the first one from Austria is coming, really. When it's allowed to travel again.
Fantastic.
No. So there will be a lot of people. Then Klaus is writing some really nice words, Thumbs up to Justina and Owen. This is really entertaining, and thumbs up to Garage. Their beers are fun in the mouth. So yeah.
That's super sweet.
Some really, really nice words, And then there's a guy who's saying triple soup compared to the last one, Triple soup has 10% ABV.
Yeah.
Other one had 7, but alcohol-wise, you can taste out the alcohol more on this version before than a triple soup, because it's so complex and really it protects, in his opinion, the complexity of the beer protects the alcohol, and it gets super smooth. And of course, in the end, you get this warming. It's really warming up because it contains 10% ABV, but it's an interesting beer. It's not the best beer for the summer, but you brewed it now and it's already sold out. So we have some left. That's a good thing, but it's a nice.
I think, I also think that all beers have their own occasions or something. When it goes to triple IPAs, I don't think it's a beer to drink alone. It's more for a beer for sharing, And I mean, this is why we actually want to have a wide variety of beers, because I think beer, first of all, for me, the beer is for drinking, right? So sometimes I just really want to drink a beer and I don't want to think, which is very difficult now when I work.
Yeah, but now you have Reba. It's easy to drink, and you don't have to think.
If I'm in a beach or I just finished a big hike, I will not hide. I will drink the mass production Spanish shitty lager, and I'm happy. It's a good beer at that moment, But then if I meet with my friends, we make some nice curry and we are sharing some stories and it's a nice evening and I will crack a can of triple soup and it's amazing because we it matches with the food. It's nice to taste all these like a tropical stone fruits and everything. I think there is an occasion for all the beers, but I always say that, the craft beer is more for tasting, not for drinking. So you should think, what you are drinking. Of course, if you want, you can smash the cans one after another.
Of course.
But these guys in the brewery, they work very hard to make sure that you have layers of the flavors and aromas and everything. So you can actually spend some time with this beer and think about it as well.
Really? Yeah. I completely agree, but in the end, we have to make volume. And that's why River is good, Miracle at Michael's is good, so that kind of generates volume as well, We need some beers to talk about, to share. I completely agree. But in the end of the day, it also is good to have a beer to drink.
Absolutely.
And Riva is a perfect option, All the people in Barcelona and around can be really, really happy with this Riva, to drink, because you have these mass-produced lagers, and then you get this option, And if you want it from a crafty brewery, then Riva is the go-to. No, really.
Absolutely, yeah. I can't stuff my fridge with this beer because all my friends just keep taking it. So I'm like, I bring more, and it's never on. When I opened my fridge and I was like, oh, okay, I will drink one. There is none left.
Yeah.
My friends, it's because it's a tiny can. It's easy.
And it's good for your friends that they have you as a friend because you're always taking care of it.
It's like all apartment building, all apartment building knows that I work in a brewery. So there will be like, hey, Sana, how are you? And I don't even answer the question. We're like, hey, you have some extra beer, there? Some extra cans in the fridge. I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, oh, yeah, thank you. I have a party. I'm like, okay, good, nice. But yeah, we are a bit privilege in this point. We always have a beer.
That's true. That's the good thing. So I would say now we go to the last beer.
Woo!
Get something sour.
So for the last beer, we have a special serving glass,
Okay.
which is called Poron.
Yeah.
Poron is a shearing vessel, and Garage is a brewery who likes to shear with things. I'm not drinking, you are drinking. And,
you said share, didn't you?
Fuck. Yeah. So maybe you can tell a little bit more about the Barcelona Weiss.
Yeah, so I suppose, Barcelona Weiss, what is it? It's not Berliner Weiss. So we're not trying to be brewing traditional Berliner Weiss that is, 50% wheat kind of thing, 50% barley or whatever. Not at all. But I suppose what's come to be known as Berliner Weiss and sort of the sour style of beer, kettle soured styles of beers. This is our interpretations of them, and we'll go from the lower end to the higher end of ABV and different fruiting types and so on. So, yeah, this one is. God, let me think. Cherry. I haven't drank this for a little bit. Cherry, raspberry, chocolate, and vanilla. So it was actually we were sitting just behind here, myself, Alberto, and Dan. I think talking about what do we want to brew in a sour?
Okay.
Let's brew a pale sour beer, but that's inspired by the flavors of like Black Forest Gâteau. So we wanted the cherry, we wanted the chocolate, we wanted. Okay, pastry. I don't like that word really when it comes to beer, but
any beer.
We wanted it to still have like the aspects of that. So the vanilla's in there, and all balanced out by the sourness, not to become like really sweet, really just overpoweringly sweet. There's still a balance there with the acidity. So yeah, we used cacao nibs from Venezuela. There's a Venezuelan cacao chocolate distribution company based here in Barcelona that distribute all over. Our vanilla was Madagascan vanilla, which is, I suppose, most of the vanilla that you see are like the good vanilla that you see. Yeah. And then cherries and raspberries, which we've used quite a lot in previous sour beers in making running from air. Some of our kind of classic Barcelona Weisses. So yeah, it was a bit of an experiment in balancing the sweetness with the acidity, not to go too far on the acidity that it didn't dominate the other flavors, and just resembling, it's obviously not like Black Forest Gâteau, it's not full of like dark cherry flavors, but it has those aspects, It's still what should be a drinkable beer.
So this is how you drink Poron. Oh, we can see it. So Poron is a shearing vessel here from Catalonia, where we are based, and it's meant for red wine, to kind of open up the wine, and it's meant to be shared. So it's for big gatherings that not everyone have their own glass, but everyone sends a Poron. And when the guys started the brewery, we were like, fuck the wine, of course, because we have so many beers. And it actually really works amazingly for the sour beers. My father, he is a bit disappointed of me because I work in a craft beer brewery, and he thinks that I'm wasting the malt and the hops for a craft beers when I should be using, it for a regular
industrial beer.
Exactly. But he come to visit me in one of the festivals, and I got him to drink Poron, and he actually loved the sour beers. Before that, I gave him to drink the sour beer from a glass, and he said, again, you are a disappointment, You should not be working in a craft brewery. You should make a proper. You remember Lithuanian traditional beers, like a farm style and everything. But anyway, so we love this thing because it kind of really reflects the garage culture about sharing, being together, doing things together. And if you will met us in a festival, one of the festivals we probably were a bit tipsy, already telling all the secrets and drinking Peron, because it's kind of a way to, to start a connection with the people, to share the thing, to tell a little bit of a local culture, because it's Catalonia. I know we are all around, like we come from all around the world, literally in this company, but we live here, we pay taxes here, most of us, I guess. And and it's important for us, to speak about the culture, about the history, about all the stuff. So this is something in our very kind of craft, new hipster brewery. This is something old school.
We already have the parents in Vienna. The only thing we need is that you both come over when it's allowed, and then we're gonna see how we.
A live action, we can do a training. Absolutely, it goes. Usually it goes very nice, but sometimes it goes really bad, like really bad. I had some
It depends on the time, If it's getting later and later, then it goes really bad.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I didn't drink it. I didn't see you drink it.
I didn't drink Peron, so I used to go to all the festivals, but now I didn't drink it for a year.
It's only fair that we go drink it.
I don't know. It's okay. It's good that I'm wearing like a black T-shirt, no?
Perfect.
Oh. Didn't lose it. One last sip,
So overall, sour beer, how is it going at the moment in Barcelona and around? People are used to it, or is it still kind of a?
Owen didn't talk. So before the things were kind of normal, before this lockdown, we were also starting our new project, which sadly got on hold a little bit because we are working hard, here in this brewery. But we started a wild fermentation project as well. Owen, maybe you can talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, so the old brewery, the brewery in the brew pub was being used for mixed fermentation beers, Brett-focused and sour-focused beers.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it was the logical thing to do there, but the problem was that one is to do barrel-aged sours and barrel-aged mixed fermentation. We don't have that much space down there, so it's a bit of a challenge. So initially it was like, okay, let's focus just on stainless steel fermented stuff, 100% Brettanomyces fermented or whatever it was. Souring live, like in fermenter souring rather than kettle souring, for example. And just trying to, I suppose it's much more fermentation, yeast, wild yeast, bacteria focused flavors and driven rather than, I suppose you talk more now, it's hop focused. You know what I mean?
And you will can it or bottle it when it came to
well, we were kegging pretty much all.
Okay, kegging. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We bottled. Yeah, and then obviously so the idea was to expand that to get to the point of where we could either bottle, which we bottled one batch.
It's amazing, the saison.
The bottles were not for sale. Like we sold the kegs and we kept the bottles for ourselves, either for gifts or for ourselves and whatever.
Well, for festivals.
For festivals, exactly, yeah.
And festivals were not going, so we got more for ourselves.
They're all gone. There's about 8 bottles left in our cold room. But yeah, it was we very much had the idea that we were going to work with the local kind of the wine environment that we have around us. So grapes was going to be a thing that this saison we're just talking about that we bottled which in my eyes a really cool project, because we brew every year, well, the last couple of years, we've brewed some IPAs with great freshly pressed grape must added.
When the season comes in like end of August and
End of
beginning
August.
yeah.
And so we brewed a double IPA last year. Two double IPAs last year. One, oh God, tell me the grapes. Xarel-lo. Okay, so Xarel-lo is a grape that's like, it's a Xarel-lo. It's a Catalan grape.
Okay.
It's the most kind of ubiquitous grape that is
in
here.
this Penedès area, I think it's one of the most like common one.
It's one of the three kind of what's the sparkling wine?
Cava.
One of the three main Cava grape varieties. So there's a really cool natural wine producer that we were getting the grape must from, and from the press we took the skins, stems, and seeds and added them to a mixed fermentation saison that was stainless, like completely stainless steel fermented. We didn't, because like I'm talking about the barrel capacity. We couldn't barrel age, but left it on the grape skins and seeds, stems for I think it was 3 weeks, maybe a month.
I don't know. He went on holidays and left for another brewer to clean all the mess. So I'm just saying.
Well, with some very strict instructions.
Yeah, that's what happened. Worth mentioning.
It was then or never that I go on holidays, you know. So
yeah, he made a mess and then out. Anyway.
I was back from it because so they couldn't get the grapes. Yeah. One person alone couldn't get the grape skins and stems out of the tank. So two of us, when I came back from holiday, my first day back from holidays last year was
dirty,
very dirty.
No, but Marcus, I think how many bottles we have? We still have 8, no? Some. I will try to get one bottle for you. I think this saison is just magic, and it's so Barcelona. It's so local. It's everything for me. That's like for a soul, like a soul healing beer. And
we're gonna send you some Austrian beers, and then
yeah, we can do some exchange, of course.
It's very, very much like wine beer. It's almost more wine than beer.
Exactly.
It's really dry. The acidity is not like obviously pronounced, but it's acidic, and it's a lot of grape.
Super beautiful. And it's, like we also did this project with Cava Art. Cava Art. It's a Cava winery, like a sparkling, natural sparkling Spanish wine. And it goes by the champagne method, but of course it's not champagne because it's not made in the Champagne region. No. But we did the beer, so we treat the beer through the whole champagne process as well. And it was a very fun project. Yeah, exactly. I did it as well. You just go. No, but I love that project. I don't know. I love the beer, but I think all over everything, I love going there to that region because it's absolutely beautiful there. If anyone is going to visit Spain, they have to go there. It's, with a view of Montserrat mountain and with like millions of grapes growing and it's olive trees and it's just magic there.
She has a side job of visitcatalunya.com.
Okay. She gets sponsored. I understand.
Yeah.
I mean, when you get, I was joking with all my friends, we all get trapped at home or in one country, but at least I got trapped in the best one.
That's true.
So, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I will come and visit. I'm not sure if I'm going to visit this wine area because I'm not into wine. But I will come and visit you guys. That's the most important thing. So Teresa is taking that backflips goes perfectly with dark chocolates. I can see this point and I completely agree.
Yeah.
Ludwig is saying it was a superb tasting. All beers were outstanding, but nothing goes over backflips. So he really, really enjoys backflips. Yeah. So it's how it is.
Imagine if you will be drinking from Corona.
Yeah. hopefully there will be craft beer festival in November, because the festival in Austria is normally one of the last festivals in Europe. And it's always in the last week of November. And it is more or less like a come together for all our partners. There are people coming from Beavertown. You brewed for Beavertown. Do you know Cosmo?
Yeah, of course. Baskeland.
Ask him what he did in Vienna. So yeah, there are really secrets and hidden things in Vienna, And November, normally last weekend of November, is really come together from brewers from all over the world. They come together, enjoy and celebrate, and it's a superb festival, and really hope that the November version will happen. And then, of course, we will have to see how we can deal and handle this.
Oof,
So,
yeah. It's a good challenge.
Last sentence for the night from both of you. Is there something you want to, is there a message for us here in Austria from you guys? I really enjoyed the tasting. So most of the people, everyone enjoyed the tasting, They were super, super happy with you. Tell us something for Austria.
For Austria.
Guys,
Owen and Justina, give us a message. What is important?
I think it's just enjoy.
Beer.
Exactly. There is a beer I love a beer, obviously. He loves a beer. We all here in Garage, we love a beer. And I think people should do as well. I mean, find whatever works for you. One day this, another day this. Share with people always. Talk about the beer. Try to find the things. It's not only about the drinking. Because, these craft beers, I'm not talking about only our brewery. It takes a lot of people to build these things, the labels, the names, everything. So dig in, chat, meet with people, come to visit us, everyone, talk with brewers, the salespeople, with everyone, and just enjoy. Beer is for drinking, but also it could be for thinking.
And sharing, thinking and sharing.
I'll say the kind of other side of it is just enjoy your beer, drink your beer. Don't get too serious about beer. Enjoy it for what it is. Like, it's a drink that is for enjoyment, So, that's my thing.
That's your message. So, again, it was super nice. It was super funny. And the good thing is that I'm pretty sure that everyone who watched this tasting, can feel how passionate you are, when it comes to garage. You get something like the identity, and you have it in your blood, because you can talk or you talk, but you are praying, when it comes to garage. And that was really, really something special. And I really hope that we can welcome you as you want to welcome us in Barcelona. We really want to welcome you in Austria, and you will enjoy the time together with us. I promise you.
Absolutely. That's
so, danke für alle, die zugeschaut haben. Es hat Spaß gemacht. Die Biere waren wirklich toll. Es war eine super Verkostung. Wir müssen alle nach Barcelona kommen. Das ist der große Wunsch, aber es ist, glaube ich, eine Reise wert. Die Biere sind wirklich toll. Ich möchte mich bedanken und ganz kurz hinweisen auf die nächsten Verkostungen. 29. April, nächste Woche, Fall City aus Schottland. 4. Mai, Teresiano aus Italien. Also es bleibt eine interessante Zeit. Und so wie wir gesagt haben von Anfang an, wir werden euch weiterhin mit guten Bieren versorgen. Und in diesem Sinne wünsche ich euch eine gute Nacht. Danke fürs Zuschauen. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Gute Nacht.
Cheers.
Gute Nacht.